All right, guys, good morning. Welcome to the next part of your final exam review. We're going to begin with number 65 here. And if you notice in this problem, on the left side we have like terms that we can combine. We have two coefficients, the -4 and the 14, that can be combined. And on the right side we have two constants, the 69 and the 31. So when we combine the two sides, we get 10x equals 100. And in order to isolate x, we divide both sides by 10. So we have 100 divided by 10 will give us x equals 10. Any questions, please ask. 66 is very similar to 65. We have like terms on the left side. We have a -27 plus 14 and then minus 1. So we have 1, 2, 3. Remember, this n is negative. Minus n is the same as plus negative n. So when we combine the -27 plus 14 and then minus 1, we get negative 14n. Bring down the plus 33 equals negative 23. Now what I want to do, since my solution is a constant, I want to combine it with this constant. So I'll be subtracting 33 to both sides. These terms here cancel out. And on this side, we add negative 23 plus negative 33 because they are both negatives. And we get negative 14n equals negative 56. Divide both sides by negative 14. And we get a solution of n equals 4. All right, for number 65, I immediately recognize that right in here we have the distributive property. Here we go, right there. So before I begin, we need to make sure that we distribute the 5 to the 5m and to the 4. So what does that mean? 25m plus 20, 5 times m, 5 times 5m, and 5 times 4. Okay? And then minus 9 equals 261. So these are like terms here, this positive 20 and this minus 9. It's simply saying 20 minus 9. So we get 25 plus 11 is 261. I want to combine like terms. Since this is a constant as a solution, I'm going to subtract 11 to both sides as such. Remember, these cancel out here, giving us 25 equals 250. Divide both sides by 25, and we get m equals 10. Number 68, I have like terms now on different sides of the equation. So since this is negative in here, what I would do is add this 6x to both sides, so that way I can take 5 and add 6 to it and keep the coefficients positive. So if you look here, I added 6x to both sides to get the like terms all together. 5 and 6 is 11x, and that leaves me with negative 77. I divide both sides by 11, and I get an answer of x equals 7 because a negative divided positive is negative. Number 69, 5w minus 5 equals 12w. Again, I have like terms on different sides of the equal sign. So I want to take this 5w and bring it over to the right. There are two terms here on the left, and there's only one on the right. So of these two, the 5w is the only one that will combine with the 12w because they both have a variable. So I subtract 5w to both sides. These cancel out. leaving me with negative 5 is equal to 7w, 12 minus 5. So now I divide both sides by 7 because I want to isolate the variable. These cancel, leaving me with just w. And w equals negative 5 over 7. If you wish, you can divide it out. I think it's easier to just leave it as a fraction. Number 70. I hope all of you recognize the property in this problem right in here. And if you're sitting at your computer watching this, I hope you are identifying it as the distributive property. So negative 5k minus 37 equals 11 times k is 11k, and 11 times 1 is 11. So if we take a look at this problem, I have coefficients on both sides. So here we go. Coefficient and coefficient. And I also have constants on both sides, minus 37 and positive 11. So to combine them, I need to move them to the other side. So I start always by moving the coefficients so my variables are together. So my first step, I subtract 5k. Why? Because I want to get all my variables together. 11 minus 5, we get 6k. So negative 37 equals 6k plus 11. So now, if you notice, I have a constant on the left and a constant on the right. So I'm going to move this constant on the right to start isolating this variable. So I minus 11 to both sides. And I get a solution of negative 48 equals 6k. Okay, remember these cancel out in here. You get the idea. These cancel. And now I divide both sides by 6, so I completely isolate the variable, and I get an answer of k equals negative 8. Number 71, what property do you notice right in here? You guessed it, the distributive property, which means we take the 7 and 5/10 and multiply it to the 6b and to the 18. And on the right side, we have two like terms which we can subtract to get 90b. 7.5 times 6 is 45b. 7.5 times 18 gives us 135. And we bring the minus sign down. And these we talked about, we subtract. Now we want to combine like terms. If you notice, I have variables or coefficients on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 45 to both sides to get negative 135 equals 45b. Divide both sides by 45, and negative 3 equals b. (72) Describe the error and correct it. So if we take a look, I see that we have the absolute value of negative 8, and it's being compared to 2. Well, before we can compare these two values, you need to remember that absolute value measures distance. So if I'm at negative 8 feet, say, I'm comparing it to 2. So what that's saying is how far from 0 is negative 8? It's 8 feet away or 8 units away, comparing it to 2. All right, so if you have absolute value, you need to evaluate first. So the problem is that the student who did this problem did not take the absolute value before comparing. Okay? 73, compare the values from least to greatest. Just like we spoke about, we need to make sure we take the absolute value first. So the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. Negative 4 stays as negative 4. 5 stays as 5. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2, and negative 8 is negative 8. So in this problem, I have two negative numbers, negative 4 and negative 8. So what I need to make sure is that the smallest negative is farthest left. So if I'm on a number line, and here is 0, negative 1 gets smaller. Negative 2, we're getting smaller yet. Negative 3, even smaller. So every time we move left on the number line, the numbers are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And if the number line continued, okay, so negative 8 would be the smallest number here, then negative 4, okay, and if we continue, we have negative 8, negative 4, 2 is really the absolute value of negative 2, so we always bring back the original form the number was given, then 5, then did I make a mistake here? Let's see. Negative 8, negative 8. Then we have negative 4. Then we have 2. Then we have, oh, this should be 9. Then we have 5. And this should be 9. Okay, there you have it. Sorry about that. 74. The sum of two negative integers is always negative. Instructions. Tell us whether the statement is true or false and explain. This statement, what do you think? True or false? Solution is true. I can add any two negative numbers. Think about it. You owe two people money, and if you continuously owe them owe the two people money, you'll always have a negative amount, or you'll always have a balance due to two different people. So the answer is true. If you have any negative and you add it to another negative, the result will always be negative. 75. Describe and correct the error in finding the difference of negative 4 minus negative 16. Remember what minus means. Add, take opposite. So negative 4 minus negative 16 really means negative 4 plus opposite, or plus 16. Signs are different. I subtract, so I get 12, not negative 20. The error was the student did not take the opposite of negative 16. So the minus negative part should be positive 16, or plus positive 16. 76. How is negative 6 squared in parentheses different from negative 6 squared with no parentheses? Well, in the first expression, it says to take everything in the parentheses and square it. So this means negative 6 times negative 6, which is 36. In the second one, it's telling us to take 6 to the second power and then take the opposite of that answer. So this solution would be negative 36. All right, we're going to stop here because I don't want to run out of time. I'll see you in the next video.